I've been explaining the recent history of PSG so often it's like a Spider-Man origin story at this point. Since the age of 14, Real Madrid has played some kind of part in Kylian Mbappe's life. I mean, everyone knows the story growing up. He idolized Cristiano Ronaldo and was a huge Real Madrid fan. Mbappe even got to visit Madrid's training complex when he was 14 in 2012 and said his dream was to return to Real Madrid, having proved to them that he was a top player. Hell, Mbappe was close to signing just a year later, but his family wanted him to stay in France. Then a few years later, after Mbappe had a breakout season in 2016-17 with Monaco, Real Madrid were once again attempting to sign the young Frenchman. The plan this time was to send Gareth Bale to Manchester United, that way Mbappe could have extended playing time before the World Cup in 2018. However, Bale, who had signed a contract lasting until 2022 a year prior, was not budging whatsoever. Into the 2019 offseason, Mbappe is now 20 years old and has come off scoring 33 goals and assisting another 17 in 29 games. Real Madrid owner Florentino Perez was eyeing the talent as per usual, but decided next season would be a better time to bid for Mbappe since his contract lasted until 2022. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and stadium renovations, Dark Lord Perez's plans were foiled. And just to ruin Florentino's mood even more, Mbappe said he'd stay at PSG for at least one more year. Then in 2021, near deadline day, the clutches of temptation once more teased Florentino Perez. And he went mad. The Dark Lord himself started throwing money like he was Ja Morant on IG Live. First was 160 for Mbappe, rejected. 170, plus add-ons, denied. Florentino tried one last time during the window, 200 million. And PSG flat out ignored him. But for Florentino, this was just the beginning. January 2022 started with PSG being confident they could lock down Kylian Mbappe for another few years. But in Florentino's mind, Mbappe was already a Real Madrid player. For the next few months, rumors would fly all over the place as both PSG and Madrid did everything in their power to convince Mbappe. Especially PSG, who whipped out both the President of France and the Emir of Qatar. Then throughout May, while games were still going on, mind you, multiple offers were set on the table for Kylian Mbappe to decide his future. He agreed on terms with both teams and then announced he'd do something far less corny than what Griezmann did in 2019. May 21st, 2022, the day Mbappe would publicly announce to the entire world where he'd take his talents to. All signs looked like he was going to Madrid, with how he kept mentioning the club in a positive light and saying it was a dream to play there. However, he'd bamboozle the whole entire world and choose to stay at Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe officially signed a 2-year extension with an option to stay for another year and became the highest paid player in the world. Mbappe was also promised a new project where he had a good amount of influence in transfers. PSG knew this was a huge feat, so they decided to arrange an entire celebration in front of all their fans at the Parc des Princes. During that celebration, they gave Mbappe a shirt with the year 2025 to display to the entire world. This definitely won't bite them back in the ass. 3 months later, already Mbappe feels betrayed by the club. He had been promised a world-class player to play alongside, and PSG failed in acquiring anyone. Mbappe was also noticeably unhappy after PSG didn't succeed to bring in promising midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni, who eventually would go to Real Madrid. Another promise PSG made to Mbappe was bringing in a world-class center-back to increase their chances of finally winning a Champions League. The main target the club looked at was Inter's Milan Skriniar, and you guessed it, PSG once again failed. Man, all this failure is making me think there should be a whole video about— oh, wait a second. After the World Cup last year, PSG once again disappointed and were knocked out by Bayern in the Champions League round of 16 this year. This was now the second straight time the club had been eliminated in the round of 16, and the 5th time in the last 7 seasons. What's even funnier is the club has seemingly declined in the later stages of the QSI takeover, because in PSG's first 4 years under new ownership, they made it to the quarterfinals in the Champions League every season. But the Champions League elimination was just the start. This clown show was only just beginning. In April of this year, Mbappe criticized PSG for using an interview with him for a season tickets promo video for the upcoming season without his permission. The Frenchman claimed he was told the interview was something basic for a club marketing day, and he was never informed about what the interview would actually be used for. He then added in an Instagram post that he made about the whole situation that PSG is a big club and a big family, but it is certainly not Kylian Saint-Germain. Now, this wasn't just something out of the blue. Mbappe has made it very clear in the past that image rights are important important as he doesn't want to be associated with fast food chains and betting companies. He said this back in September 2022 after refusing to take part in KFC France's promotional campaign with the French national team. Now, I understand it's kind of weird seeing a player criticize being part of a promotional ad for his own club that pays him, but the fact that the club deceived him, knowing how he's felt about image rights before, it's just so on brand for this club. And keep in mind, not even a year ago at this point, PSG was doing everything in its power to keep Mbappe. And now it's like they're not even trying.
Oh my god, no.
Like, I'll give it to PSG, they've definitely been working on this so-called new project. Especially now that Messi is gone and Neymar's future is uncertain, this club has gone from individuality FC to unserious FC. And then came the bombshell. I mean, are you surprised? This has happened the last 3 seasons now with this club. On June 12th, Kylian Mbappe sent a formal letter informing the club he would not take up the option of a 1-year extension in his contract next summer. This stunned PSG mainly because there was no legal need to send a letter in the first place, as this was an opt-in rather than an opt-out. In fact, all this letter did was pretty much create drama within the club when Mbappe could have just stayed silent. But according to Mbappe, he had informed the club about his decision to not extend beyond 2024 since July 15th of last year. Which goes back to the letter thing. That makes even less sense, because if you already told them a year ago, there's no need to... this club, man. However, now that Mbappe has gone out and said he won't activate the 1-year option, that means he'll be a free agent next year. Show the shirt again. Paris Saint-Germain, in response, made it very clear they don't want to see their generational talent leave for free. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So they've given Kylian Mbappe 2 options: either sign an extension or be sold this summer. The president of this clown show, Nasser Al-Khelaifi, went one step further a month later on July 5th and said that Mbappe has to decide within the next 2 weeks. And that's probably because the club doesn't want to deal with another deadline day near disaster. Now, this should be the end of it. We have this ultimatum, and now we just wait. I suppose you've forgotten what club we're talking about here. 3 days after Nasser's press conference, it was reported 6 PSG players had complained to the club president following comments made in an interview by Mbappe. In the interview, Mbappe said playing for PSG didn't help when it came to people trivializing his performances, adding PSG is, quote, a divisive club which tends to attract gossip. Mbappe is not wrong at all. But look in the mirror, for f***'s sake. I do find it funny though that reportedly 2 of the offended players are new signings. Like, what are you even offended by? You've been at the club for like a week maybe. But back to the ultimatum at hand. Mbappe either has the option to sign an extension or be sold to a club this summer. Realistically speaking, the only club that I could really see him going to is, big shocker, Real Madrid. Wow, did anyone see that coming? I didn't. The problem is, though, I'm not sure Real Madrid are in any financial state to make a purchase of that caliber, especially since they just bought Jude Bellingham for 100 million, like, last month. And Dark Lord Perez practically confirmed that after recently saying Mbappe is a target, but not for this year. Even Mbappe has publicly denied plans to sign for Los Blancos this summer. So maybe, even if it looks highly unlikely, Mbappe is looking to sign an extension with even more money. And I say that because it's not like PSG has been completely ignoring contract talks either. According to a PSG executive, they've been in talks with Mbappe over a long-term renegotiation. But the thing is though, I'm not sure if he's really wanting money. I feel like money is the least important thing when it comes to Mbappe at this point. I think all he really wants is just a competent team that he doesn't have to carry week in, week out. You gotta keep this in mind. This man has won everything, and I mean everything, except for the Champions League. And with PSG in some kind of transition period that'll have them weaker this coming season, I'm not sure Mbappe has the patience anymore, especially as the trust between the two parties is probably at an all-time low. But what do you guys think? Will Mbappe stay? Will he sign an extension? Or will he actually move? Real Madrid? Chelsea? Man City? God, if he goes to Man City, football is actually But of course, a massive shout out to all our patrons, including Stin, Janos Balash, Miliway009, Aldipu, Alex Rod, Ulta, Araisan, Carlos Anaya, Chris Damasceno, Daniel Ortiz, Francisco Hernandez, Guy, Joao Carvalho, Marco Fujimoto, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Saw, Sliderkid, Sniffrix, Taco Okafan, Tomicus, Vanilla Mexican 17, Victor, Chris Visconsi, Q90 Champs 2022, Dominic Griffin, Emmett Shea, Louis, Joe Paricio, Lucian Von Croix, Michael Nista, Niche, Patrick Barley, Sylvia Citrus, Unbroken Persona, and Valencia 14. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like, follow my TikTok, trying to get to 20,000 there, and of course, you can follow my semi-active Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.